Welcome back to the Denizen Sucks podcast.
It sucks.
We do.
Sucks. Yeah.
We're not great, gang, but we are so lucky to be joined by a band that is great, and that is the wonderful Kids Table. Welcome to the
Woo!
pod.
Episode
Hey,
20.
thank you.
Let
Yeah,
me
it's awesome.
introduce. We got Amy Smith, vocals, Max
Hi.
Wooten, bass, Mike Weaver, guitar, Andy King, drums, Brian Trong, keys. I hope I'm pronouncing that. And Ryan Thomas, I'm sorry, Mike couldn't be here, but most of the gang is here. Couldn't be more pumped. How are you all doing?
Feeling great. Happy to be here. Thanks for
Yeah.
having us.
So we were saying before we hit record, you guys are all in DC right now,
That's right.
and that is home base for you.
Correct.
But before DC, some, if not all of you, went to UNC. Is that correct?
All of us. Yep.
UNC Chapel Hill.
The one and only.
Nice. I went to a jazz festival in Raleigh, Durham. Actually, no, excuse me, not Raleigh, Durham, in Chapel Hill last year. It was fantastic.
Um,
Uh,
Django Reinhardt themed jazz festival for those that like Django Reinhardt.
Not bad.
Yeah.
In the research I did about you guys, kind of an interesting formation story. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about it. You guys all went to UNC Chapel Hill, but you didn't, or most of you didn't know each other. Maybe I guess Mike and Brian knew each other a little bit in undergrad, is what I understand. But I wonder if you just talk a little bit about the formation of the group, how that came about. Summer of 2023, if I have that right.
yeah, you've done good research. Yeah, this is typically my script to read off the inside of my brain.
Nice.
But yeah, we all went to UNC. We were all there at the same time for some amount of years, but pretty much no one knew everyone else. Mike was a pretty grand connector. It's just funny that he's the one that can't make it tonight. But basically, after school, when we had most of us had graduated, Mike and I went to a friend's karaoke birthday party. I sang a song he was wildly impressed by, of course. No, but he wanted to get together and jam sometime, and so we hung out. He played some guitar. I sang along to some songs. Nothing super special happened. I wouldn't have said sparks flew or anything.
Uh-huh.
But then I pointed him Amy's way. I said, if you want a real singer, my at the time girlfriend, now fiance, lived with this girl who she's incredible. She did college a cappella. She's probably the best singer I've heard. You should hit her up. I think she's in DC now. Um, and then
Nice.
from there, yeah, she they got together, played a little bit. I had an old or a cheap Amazon bass guitar. I joined in for a
Nice.
couple sessions. Um, I'll let I'll let the rest of the group tell their initiation stories though, because there's some fun little bits of how the rest of us got pulled in.
But Max, you play bass, that's right?
Yes, I play bass guitar. I had barely learned how to play Happy Birthday at the time, so I've come a long way.
Nice.
Yeah, that is an impressive thing. I wanted to tell you to add that, Max, that you're pretty much self-taught from the beginning of the band,
Wow.
which is pretty cool. But I was the next member to join after that, and I actually knew Mike for a long time, probably since kindergarten. He's been best friends with my older brother,
Uh-huh.
and they went to school together, and we actually went to the same like elementary and middle school together as well.
Yeah.
And I used to play drums all the time back then.
Mm-hmm.
Playing since I was 12 years old. So he knew that I, did that. But since high school, I hadn't really touched the drums at all. Once I went to college, it was something that I didn't think I was ever going to do again.
Mm-hmm.
But with Max, Amy, and Mike playing together, Mike just went out on a limb and booked a show over in Van Ness for this little festival that they had going on.
This is awesome. Yeah.
And and at that point, they had talked about wanting me to come and play with them, but I was very on the fence about it because I just didn't think I was really interested in playing drums anymore.
Were you doing a little bass? Is that like, were you kind
Sorry,
of,
one more time?
I might have my facts wrong, but did I get this right that you were kind of a little into bass at one point?
I was never into bass. No.
Oh no, I did get my facts
only
wrong. I'm
played
sorry about
drums.
that.
I used to play drums, so that might be the confusion.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. Fair enough. But yeah, so you booked the gig.
Correct. Yeah, they booked the gig and told them that they had a drummer. They even sent videos of them three playing and just said, "Hey, our drummer is sick, but we have one. Trust us." But they did not have one yet.
Bold.
So yeah, at that point, they kind of just came to me and were like, "Hey, we have a show, and they're expecting a drummer. So you either screw us over or you come and play with us." And I was like, "Fine, I'll come and do it." But I'm very appreciative of that because since then, I never looked back. It's been such a pleasure.
That's so awesome. Uh yeah, I mean, yeah, Pete, sorry.
Yeah, I was just well, I'm curious, Amy. So you come from an a cappella background. What are some of the differences between being in an a cappella group and a rock and roll band?
Um, a few things I would say. I guess the main one is like with choir and a cappella and everything, most of the time you're singing, you're not in the front.
Yeah.
It's very, everyone's singing all the time. It's very collaborative. I had solos every, one or two every concert, but it was very, for the most part, it was very focused on the technical aspects of singing and kind of working together as a group. And obviously with the band, it's still, working together as a group, but we all are very much leading the charge in our own parts. And yeah, I guess I'm singing the whole time. And I'm always singing like words instead of just like doo-wops and those kind of things.
And obviously, yeah, with a cappella, harmonies are a huge element. So, and Dave and I, like in our group, so we started our band, he and I are cousins. We started our group in 2012, but like we've always felt that harmonies are such a wonderful part of music.
Yeah.
And so, are you guys trying to incorporate harmonized lines
Awesome
vocally?
harmonies
Yeah.
on some of those studio tracks. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Awesome
you.
harmony. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Max will do a good amount of backup vocals and harmonies and things. We also have my roommate, who actually I did a cappella with, and that's how we became friends. She will perform with us live whenever whenever she wants to, and she'll do harmonies as well. We also have another friend who is not based in DC, but she's in Charlotte, but flew up we performed at the 930 Club. We opened there last month, and we told her like the second we booked the show, and she was like, "Okay, great, I'm booking my flight."
Uh-huh.
So we have friends who help out with backup vocals and harmonies and that kind of thing.
That's awesome. So you guys start out, it's Max, Amy, Andy, Mike, as kind of like a more standard, instrumentally standard, I would say, like kind of rock situation, bass, guitar, drums. What brings the keys and the trumpet, which are so, I think this is really what, to my ear, a lot of the standout, what makes you guys sound a lot different from other groups are those elements and what brings them into the fold. And I don't want to dwell on just formation the whole time, but I'm very interested in that because I do think it's a unique aspect of your band.
You want to go first, BT, or?
Yeah.
I mean, was it
Okay.
like an aesthetic choice? Like we want some trumpet in here, or was it more like we
I
know
feel like
these
it's
guys, they're cool guys, or was it a mix of both? Or
Definitely more that.
okay,
Yeah, definitely.
I think it was the opposite for BT and me because like Mike knew BT. BT had been like in bands for a few different bands. And I kind of like I wasn't playing trumpet anymore. When I moved to DC, I brought my trumpet up and it got stolen, and then I was like, I guess I don't play trumpet anymore. And then they started the band, and I was like, actually, that would be so cool. It looks like so much fun.
mhm.
And I guess I like weaseled my way in.
Nice, nice. I don't know if you want
Yeah,
to chime in, BT, or
no, I mean, honestly, I feel like basically same deal. Like we were always just good friends, and in college, my roommates were musicians, and I would play with them a lot. And Mike actually lived across the street with Ryan.
yeah.
And Mike was always like, "Oh, like I'd love to jam sometime." So I actually did jam with him like once or twice, but like I kind of was like totally happy to like just keep playing with my roommates. And then I moved to Atlanta, and then My girlfriend moved. My girlfriend at the time, now fiance, so things are good. She moved to DC, so then I would come up to visit DC a lot, and then every time I would come to DC, I'd try and hang out with Mike just to see him since he moved here first. And he
Mhm.
was like, "If you ever move up to DC, I got a spot for you because I'm trying to get this band going." And then that's exactly like he held his word. So that's exactly what happened. I moved up here, and that was summer or like September of 2023, and that was kind of when the timeline was like the gears were in motion for, Max, Andy, and Amy and Mike. And then, once I got settled in a little bit, then I was like, I'm happy to come join you guys, and that's how it went down.
And what are those like initial kind of shows like? Like we talking like small house parties or like pubs or what's the vibe there? And I know you was like a cover band thing that moved eventually into originals. Were you doing shows at all, or was it just like we're getting together and just jamming on some covers?
Well, I think
Yeah.
the first one was at Max's house, right? Max's backyard.
No.
I forget about that. Yeah. Technically, the first ever kids table performance was before Ryan and Brian joined us. And it was in my backyard for probably like 12 of our friends.
Show.
This was not the Blackmail Andy show. This was us kind of like getting our feet wet and making sure that we could even play at all. I remember being so damn nervous. I had never
Yeah.
played bass guitar in front of anybody.
Uh-huh.
Um, and we didn't even have like good equipment. We played out of my like $100 party speaker. So it didn't mix at all. Every time I played an especially low note, it would drag Amy's voice into the dirt. It sounded awful. And then it
Please
rained.
tell me we got a bootleg of that show somewhere.
Somewhere there's videos.
Please say, please.
There
The
are
deep
definitely
cuts.
videos.
Yeah.
I don't like to watch them, but they exist.
Our keyboard player, our first keyboard player, God love him, awesome guy. He was more for the vibe really than his talent, let's say. And I would say that to his face. I would tell him to do like a keys solo, and he would just like fist bump with his right hand. That was his solo, and he played this like $60 Casio. So I totally hear where you're coming from. Yeah, those initial shows could be, but so we'd start to do that, and then we bring on BT and Ryan, and then move on to some like actual like pubs in DC and whatnot, and
Yeah,
still in
we
a
did a
cover kind
lot
of
of
capacity.
we did a lot of bar shows in our early days. We did. There's actually this one of our like first ever bar shows. It was our first bar. It was like an hour and a half set. It was the longest we'd ever played.
Yeah.
We were feeling really good off the tail end of it, and then Mike. God, I wish Mike was on here. Mike, after the show or the next day comes up. We knew we had a gig booked for the following week. We were like just feeling really excited, so we booked ourselves back to back at a different bar. And the next day, Mike is like, "All right, guys. So I know that was an hour and a half, and that's the longest we've ever played. But this show that's in 6 days is actually for 3 hours, and we only had an hour and a half of music. So that like full week, we basically learned like 10 songs, I think.
At least, at
Dear God.
least. Ugh.
So we got started very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like all the bar shows were always like just so much fun, and
Uh-huh.
a lot of we would just get our friends to come out, and then like crowds would kind of we have very good friends who would come very consistently, which
Nice.
kind of helped bring other people along. And then
Uh-huh.
I think our first venue show was when would I don't I guess
I was just trying to think of it. I actually don't. It must have been the Pocket, right? I mean, it
I was
has to
about to
be.
say, yeah.
or Jam
Or
and
Jam and
Java.
Java.
Yeah.
It could have
Oh
been Jam and
God,
Jam
Java.
Java.
no.
We did a battle of the bands
Nice.
at Jam and Java, which I think they do one like twice a year. It's like a very well known event. And it was our first time performing our original music, so that was a very
Right.
scary time for us. We did not get past. There was like 2 rounds, and we didn't win.
That can be that's a real tough moment for bands, like moving from covers where people are, let's be honest, they're coming to like kind of have a good time and rock out, and then it's like, oh no, this is now a different thing. And so was that challenging? Did you guys feel that difference, or was it pretty smooth?
It was definitely like I think we did a good job of making it as smooth as possible, because I mean we still do covers. It's not
Right.
we've never taken a hard stance against covers. I mean, like our Porch Fest videos that have kind of been gaining all this attention. The reason the crowd was that size is because we knew that people go to Porch Fest to have a good time. And we snuck a couple of our originals
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that set, but we played to the crowd, I would say, has always been our kind of priority.
Yeah.
But as we do more venue shows, we are starting to kind of make that transition into our own stuff. But it's been a slow transition for sure. It's been a larger part of a year, if not
Yeah.
longer.
So I guess following up on that, you guys have only been a band a few years, so you're still, I would say, like fairly new. In
We're
terms of
old
like,
codgers over here,
yeah,
so it's
we're
all
old
relative.
guys,
Yeah.
but I want to ask you if you guys are comfortable, like just talking about maybe some of the struggles that you've had, like either internally, and how you've kind of dealt with them, or just headwinds that you all are facing or think you will face. Because obviously, yeah, like look, like playing in a band's great. There's always wonderful memories, but like it can also get hard and tough. And like I tell people that sometimes it's like being in a 6-person marriage. So again, if you're comfortable, I'd like to hear maybe some of the struggles that you guys have had and how you're kind of looking forward.
Yeah, I can kind of start. Like Andy said, or maybe I said, I don't remember. One of us said I learned my instrument to get into the band. And I am a pretty self-motivated guy, but it was definitely tough at the beginning to like be what I felt so far behind all of my very talented friends.
Yeah.
But there was kind of no better driver than that. Like showing up to practice and being like often the least prepared or the least like automatic on things. Um, Definitely helped push me to become much better very quickly.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to get kicked out. Not that, especially in those early days. I mean, it was all mostly about hanging out with friends and having fun, and we still try to keep that as like very much at the top of our schedule of priorities.
Yep.
But yeah, there would be plenty of times where I'm just hitting the same wrong note over and over, and it's not even that difficult of a song. And I would go home and just be like practicing for like hours, just like I need to not embarrass myself next week. Um, and
I know the feeling.
uh,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely would not consider myself the best musician in our band, and
Yeah, Pete
we've had
definitely
some.
knows the feeling. I'm kidding.
I
Pete, I'm
definitely.
kidding. All right.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, hey, and I've been playing saxophone 27 years, and it's still like, we've had a number of different members come through our band. So, and over the years, there've just been some guys that blew the hell out of me, and it's like, fuck, but you want to,
Yeah.
obviously, to your point, you want to keep like your North Star is like you guys are doing this to have fun, and that should be the ultimate goal. But it can sometimes be difficult, as like as things go on. There can be times where it's like you kind of forget about that. So
Can
it's
I just
great that
jump in and
you
ask,
brought
like,
that up.
so, do you guys feel like you're more of like a democracy? Like, we vote, we like, when stuff comes up, we're like all in it together, or is it more like a CEO and like, like someone's got I don't know. Um,
I'll go ahead and answer for
is there
everyone
a
here.
democratic answer to that?
It's I feel like we've described it as like a Jane Goodall situation. Amy
What does that
researches
mean?
and she's ultimately in charge. She's the human being.
Yeah,
And
fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
but
I
also
can't
but
argue
also
with that
ape
one.
together strong.
yeah.
That's so true. Like the argument at the top of
Nice.
that.
R.I.P. Jane Goodall.
Yeah, true.
He just passed away.
She
R.I.P.
did.
I might
Oh,
have
R.I.P.
to steal that description. That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit to change gears just a little bit. Like, one thing I'm super impressed with is just the production level. It ties a little bit into what we were just talking about, but the studio tracks sound awesome, and the mixing is really very well balanced, and I think very tasteful. And you guys don't have that many tracks out on Spotify anyway from the studio. Um, I know I'm hoping for our upcoming album, which every viewer should check out, by the way. But I'm hoping that we're sort of getting to that level of like balance and understanding what we're doing in the studio. But it seems like you guys have kind of hit the ground, at the top from a certain production level. I would love to know a little bit about the production process for you guys in studio. First of all, like where are you doing it? Like who, if anyone, is producing you, and how does that? Are you guys doing it like you tracking all live or separate track? Just a little of the mechanics of how the studio is working because it sounds great.
Yeah, we have a few
Um,
different. Sorry, Brian. I feel like you should probably take this. You know a lot more about this than I do.
no, you got it, Andy. You got it.
Oh, okay. Well, we've recorded with a couple of different studios or producers, I guess, around DC. But in terms of our process, it's definitely more of we'll record, like we'll say just the drums and the bass and get our back line going, and then we record that live, usually together. And then we will add on the pieces on top of it. Most of the time, though, we are playing together as a band, but then are only recording pieces of it. So for example, like we'll start off with the drums or something like that, but we'll have everybody playing together so that I have something to play along to, and then maybe we'll get scratch vocals or something like that. But a lot of times it is just live right there going.
Yeah.
um
I think that's
and
kind of like,
yeah.
real quick, Andy. I think that's kind of like one of the things we found out very early was like we kind of work best together, and
Mhm.
it's like almost the only way that we know how. So sometimes if we try to really truly solo track, uh, not as so much for Amy. I mean, she can figure it out most of the time, but uh, like it can be a lot more difficult when you're only used to playing with the whole gang to just like hone in on, oh yeah, I got to hit these root notes 100 times in a row.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Right.
that's tough.
I mean, does that process, I also like, for us, I feel like you discover stuff about the songs doing it in that way that maybe, like the live thing, you're getting feedback, which you're discovering stuff. That's important. But then having that experience of going in, and I'm wondering if there's anything on any of the tracks that jumps out at you that you've sort of learned about the track that stands out, or some experience, or like layering stuff, things that you can do in studio that you can't do live that you've experimented with. Um, if you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've like, you talked about like the harmonies and stuff like that. That's
Right.
another good example of that where Amy will sort of play around with it and see how it sounds, and she'll layer her own voice on it or something like that. But a lot of times, like we'll just straight up change something while we're in the studio, like a section that somebody wanted to just mess with or something. An idea that Max had while he was sitting on his couch at home, and just throw it out on the bass and see what it sounds like, and then maybe add it, maybe not, something along those lines. So we definitely talk a lot, not only with ourselves but also with the guys who are recording us too, to get feedback a little bit and just throwing ideas a little bit, which is nice.
I mean, the classic example is like Ryan would come into the studio and day to day play two different things with each recording. And we should shout out our studios, by the way. We've
Yeah.
worked at Ivacoda in DC, and then
So
with
that's
these great guys.
Ivacoda.
Ivacoda, yeah. Great spot. Ben is our boy. Does great work. And then Sunday Coffee Productions is another small studio that we love to work with. But they've both done great work with us, and the new album is going to be like half and half basically between those two. Um, but yeah, back to like, in the studio versus otherwise. Ryan would come in, play one line, and then do another take and play something entirely different. And Ben at Ivacoda would turn to us in the booth and go, "Is that the same thing he just played?" And we would go, he just kind of figures it out as he goes.
That's so awesome. So you're
So
actually like you're kind of doing it in studio, like composing to some extent, or most of these songs coming from like the live show. And have you written in studio?
Ryan's a little bit of an exception on that. I have changed some bass lines, but for the most part, we try to come to the studio figured out.
Uh-huh. Fair enough.
I feel like
I think I have it figured out, but there's a lot of pressure when you're like putting it down, not on paper, recording,
Hey, that's how you make the diamonds. It's with the
Yeah,
pressure.
that's didn't want to say that, but yeah.
BT. Oh, we're all about cliches here on the Classy Denizen Sucks podcast. BT, I wanted to ask you about your choice of, I mean, this beautiful piano on some of these tracks, killing time. I love what you're doing there. But there's sort of more of a B3. Do I hear organ going on Fall? And what
Yeah,
goes into
yeah.
some of those choices? Why are you using, and do you consider yourself more of like a keys guy, like a piano guy, or more of an organ guy? Because I know from, I'm not a keyboard guy, but I know from my keyboard guy that there's like a difference there
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the
No, I'm definitely
sustain
more of
versus the staccato.
definitely. Definitely, I'm more of a pianist first, but I mean, I definitely just like enjoy, exploring different sounds. It's your keyboardist or pianist, however he refers to himself, is definitely right. It's definitely like a different way of playing. I mean, I think with um the B3 in particular, I think it's really useful as like a drone tone, I think, and that's usually how I like to use it. Just I would say that's like kind of like the standard, like easiest way. Like there are organ trios that where the organ can do so much more than that.
Yeah.
But at least where I'm at now, I do really like the way the organ sounds. I mean, you can play with the different drawbars that,
Oh, yeah.
and
So
plus you
you're
can,
actually using it like an actual B3.
oh, no, I wish.
Oh,
I just have a Nord, but they have like the drawbars on
right,
there.
right, right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a ton
No,
of
it's an
fun.
awesome B3 sound on a Nord for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely, definitely. But I appreciate it. Thanks.
Dave, should we maybe just ask them a little bit about kind of what's upcoming? I know you guys have been doing some
Yes,
touring
definitely.
on the East Coast, but we've got about 8 minutes left here. So maybe question one is, yeah, what kind of upcoming shows or tours are you guys looking to do? Let's start with that.
Yeah, I can jump in here. We've got, so yeah, we've been doing shows throughout May. So we just did our first ever New York City show on Sunday, which was so much fun.
Where'd you guys play?
We played at Berlin under A.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, right.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah.
it was so much fun. We had maybe a little bit too much fun in the city, but it was a sold out crowd on a Sunday, which was
That's
That's
awesome.
great. Sunday's a tough day for sure. We've played Sunday gigs in New York.
Sunday's
It's
the
not
hardest
easy.
day. Sunday is the hardest day.
I think we played. I think we played pianos on a Sunday, Dave, and that was tough. But
We did
yeah,
not sell it out. That's
we did
amazing.
not.
But you were saying other upcoming stuff, or did we
Yes,
cut you
yeah,
off
yeah.
there? Sorry.
No. I mean, it was very cool. Definitely, very lucky to have sold that one out. But this upcoming Sunday, we have a show in Baltimore, and then we have a DC show on the 30th of May, and then after that, we'll be in Philly on June 6th. So
My
that's kind of
hometown.
our
Where are you guys playing in Baltimore? 8x10?
Autobar.
Oh yeah, nice. I went to Hopkins, so I used to go there all the time.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, we've heard great things. I've heard it's a great venue. So
Auto Bar is cool. And then where are you playing in Philadelphia?
Philly it's kind of a like DIY show. I think it's this like art. It's called a Little Big Planet is the like company or collective,
Like
I guess that
promoter, organizer. I don't know what you call them.
yeah, organizer is probably the
Okay.
best word. So it's gonna be 4 bands, and I'm not exactly sure where. It's in Center City somewhere.
Okay. It's like a pop-up venue.
Yeah, exactly. So that should be really fun. We've never really
Nice.
done anything like that. So, and then we'll be back in New York in July on July 10th. We'll be at Arlene's Grocery. And
Oh yeah, that's where we started.
Best.
yeah,
It's a good
I
venue.
want to
Good
leave
sound.
time.
Really good sound.
Want to leave time for the lightning round. Got to leave time for the lightning round. But I just
All
wanted
right.
to ask about that upcoming album. When did we have a date, like a time frame, a date? I know these are hard things. What
We
We don't have to be
what not, but
secretive. We don't have to be secretive. We're doing a single at the end of each month, including this one. And then early August, the album drops.
boom. Early
Yep.
August. Awesome.
Nice.
All right, let's get to that lightning round, guys. We haven't really done this with this many people, but I'm just gonna like allow anyone to unmute and buzz in as fast as you can. First thing comes to mind. All right. Great live music scene in DC. What's the favorite venue in DC?
930 Club, gotta be.
All right. Easy. That was maybe too easy. Favorite live show moment. First thing.
Oh,
Once I spilled wine all over the floor and unplugged the drums in the middle of when we were playing. Drums stopped. We all paused for like 1 second, plugged them back in, and we just hit it, kept going. It was like perfect.
I forgot about that.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Track you're most proud of. Upcoming or like already out.
It's Killing Time for me. I don't know about y'all.
Beautiful track. That is a beautiful track.
I think The Glow. That's one
Yeah.
that's gonna come out
Oh, yeah.
later. It's our like true
Everything.
ballad. It's a good one.
Yeah, it hasn't come out
Um,
yet, so that's on out.
What's that?
Yeah, that one hasn't come out yet, so you gotta.
Okay. We'll be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Let's see. I won't do too many more of these things, but I'll do two more. Sound check go to. Is there a sound check? No could be the answer to any of these questions.
Like to a movie?
No,
Oh,
like
no,
when you're
sound
sound checking,
check.
do you have like a go-to thing you sound
I'm gonna
check
mute
to?
myself.
Probably
think
Killing
we
Time.
just-
I mean, that's another one
Yeah.
that we've like nowadays. It's definitely Killing Time. We always sound check with
It
that.
used to be Valerie back in the cover days.
True.
Nice.
That's a good one. I think we covered Valerie.
We did
Yeah, it's a
one time.
classic.
I actually got to see Amy Winehouse. So good. 2007.
Wow.
Yeah,
All
phenomenal.
right, last one. And I'm talking Tobacco Road now. You guys are UNC Chapel Hill. So Duke, NC State, or Wake Forest, who's the real rival?
Come on. We all know.
I
Don't
think-
need to say anything. Yeah.
I
It's
think
the
we all
guys with
know.
the horns, man.
We don't talk
Well
about them.
put.
We don't talk about them on this podcast.
You guys, okay. I just want to say thank you so much for taking
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, this was awesome, guys.
table.
Thanks for having us.
You guys are
Yeah,
awesome.
appreciate it.
Best of luck with the album drop this summer, and check them out on all social media. Right? I'm sure you guys are on all those.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
will. Annie, who booked this show, is great about putting the stuff in the comments. So we'll
Yep.
link all your links and whatnot.
Yep.
And thank you guys again, and best of luck. And hopefully we'll check you out sometime in NYC.
Yep.
Sounds
Absolutely.
great.
Thank
All
you
right,
all so
guys.
much.
Take
Have a
care.
great night, guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate it,
Thanks so
guys.
much.
Yep.